at all this. We know about all this. I mean,
We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order.
you know, and whatever.
Did everybody get a chance to look at the minutes from the previous meeting? So I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
We have a... All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Financial report, do we have any questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to our preliminary budget.
You need a motion to approve the financials.
Oh, sorry. Can I get a motion to approve financials?
Make the motion. Approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Now we'll do our preliminary budget. We have
Yes, there's a little bit of a typo. It should actually say the 2022 preliminary budget. And the changes that we asked for a couple meetings ago were increasing programs by 7,000 and increasing advertising by 3,000. Both those made it into the budget, and so there's nothing really notable as part of that.
All right, so we're good on that?
No, you don't need a motion there.
All right, so next we have our presentation from the Hamilton Real Estate Group.
We may have moved a little too fast for
That was very
the whole
quick.
group here.
We're all coming back from Owatonna, and two of our group is
Oh.
just in Dodge Center, so.
If you guys want to keep working through the agenda and still be here in like...
Buy ourselves a little time.
Yeah.
We can shoot you down.
Thank you, guys.
Well, we'll sneak ahead on to our coordinators report.
Sure. So my written report's in your packets here. Our placeholder projects, the old school site and the workforce housing, no major updates there. They have November deadline, so we'll know more next month. We'll probably know more after our meeting. Same thing with the industrial park, which we're holding off until the spring on. On the downtown lots, the closing, they're over there. The closing on the Trow properties, that's been put off for a few weeks. City attorney wasn't able to locate the deed with the county, so they're working through that right now.
We have located it now.
You have now, okay, good.
Perfect.
I will hold off on talking about our federal grant, 'cause that's an agenda item. On to Main Street revitalization. I've met with a couple Main Street businesses about pulling together kind of an ad hoc committee to talk about long-term goals for Casson's Main Street and what we'd like that to look like. So we're going to hold a meeting in mid to late October here. What I'm hoping to have that meeting at the Six of Swords Tattoo Shop, so that we're actually on Main Street. Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation also has a grant opportunity for $20,000, and I'm looking at submitting an application to that to support this group's activities to put together kind of a long-range plan for Casson Main Street. So that's that. On the business assistance, Deeds Main Street COVID Relief Grant Program closed on the 29th. So I did some outreach around that program and did some troubleshooting with some businesses on that front. I've been in close conversation with the Baymont. They want to submit an application to the Deeds Main Street Revitalization Grant Program, different program, which has a deadline in March, so helping them to collect their application materials up through that deadline. I've done a walkthrough of the old Images building on Manorville Ave with the new owner, Zach Cruz, and talked about their plans there and offered some assistance on refining his business plan. I've also been speaking with the owner of Full Circle Wellness and sent them some available commercial lots in the city. I think they've settled on wanting to do a downtown infill at 109 West Main Street, and so they're in their process of contacting the owners and their acquisition on that, but working closely with them there. We have a new business opening just right across the way in the IBS building called Stable Feed. They make horse supplements.
Is it IBD, you mean?
IBD, excuse me, Images by Design building.
Yes, that's something else there.
I just saw you look, Chris, that's why.
Funny enough, the owner also made that joke. So they make a special type of horse feed and horse supplements, so they're going to take over the main floor with a retail space up front. They have the warehouse space in the back and then some kitchen space where they do drying of some of their products. I think it's a really cool business. They source materials from all across the globe for this special supplement, and the type of feed that they sell, the only business in North America that sells it, so that'll be really interesting. And I've offered some assistance to them on, they want to write both a USDA and an MDA value-added producer grant, because they're growing this particular variety of hay in Minnesota and want to get some grant funds as part of that, so I've offered some assistance there. I also conducted a number of business visits. I've been to the tattoo shop. I've been by Rosario's Bake Shop, Stable Feed, which I just mentioned. I spoke with the owner of Chaotic Brewing, as well as Rise Above Bakery and Carolyn Business Services, the tax provider. So that's my update.
Where is Rise Above Bakery Company?
They don't have they're a home-based business, so I just spoke with
Okay.
their own.
And the old school, since that's not been sold yet, are you keeping the owners sort of up to date on what's happening?
The owners?
Yeah,
The
people who
current owners?
still own it?
I have not been communicating with them.
Okay, I
Well,
think,
I'm not sure what my go-between would be there, other than, staying in contact with the potential developer on what they would need from us. I'm not quite sure what the...
well, I think the owners probably would like to know the process and what's going on, since they haven't been actually paid yet, it hasn't closed yet,
I
so...
would let the developer communicate directly with the current owners.
Okay,
I'm not sure
so-
that's my place there.
All right.
Yeah, you haven't really had a lot of involvement, so Mr. Warschauer's talked to us, but
Yeah.
last thing I heard, there was some sort of legal sort of snafu that I think I talked to Jerry Geese on the phone, and he said there were some legal issues, and I don't know all the details on that, but I don't know that we've really got a lot of communication from them. Maybe you could follow up with Mr. Warschauer and just do a check-in, see how he's doing, but thanks.
Yeah, and being on the board and a partner and one of the owners, yeah, we'd pretty much like to be kept up to date as to, where he's going or what's happening, so that, because truly it's still ours.
So is he not communicating with you as a current manager?
We have a board meeting actually this evening, and no, we haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I mean, our involvement, as a city's perspective, I mean, we haven't really gotten between the two, buyer and seller, but we certainly can follow up with him and see how he's doing, but that was the last I heard, was there was some kind of legal hold-up.
Yeah, but, and like I say, I still think that it's potential buyer.
Okay.
We haven't closed yet. We still have, I'm not exactly sure what's going on myself, but I do think that, we'd want to know if there's progress going in a certain direction. Or any direction.
Still working towards his Phase 2 application materials, which are due in November. So we'll potentially know more once.
Okay, so I'm assuming then that he can make applications without owning property.
I'm not exactly sure, but I
Okay.
know the Phase 2 is pretty much just the details of the project to the historic registry. So,
The Phase 2 is part of his due diligence, which is part of the purchase agreement, which has been signed by both parties.
okay.
So he is able to move forward on his due diligence.
Okay. Next, we'll have our city administrator's report.
You've got my report there, I don't have a lot of other things to update you on, I'm busy with a lot of different projects going on, and I was able to attend a good conference with some of my colleagues, and had some good conversations with them about how things are going, and different things they're seeing, especially with the EDA side of things. Later in the packet, we've got some information on the welcome bags and booklet. I had a good sit-down meeting with some representatives from the Chamber of Commerce. We had a good talk while Tom was helping to run the show there. He's good at that. And we had a really good talk about it, and I think we're moving forward. Our goal with that would be to try and get things ginned up for January or so, I think. So we can talk more about that during the bullet
Okay.
points.
Thank you.
Otherwise, one thing I was going to put out, if you're interested, we do have an open house tonight. It's Fire Prevention Week, so there's 2 open houses at the fire hall this week. The one tomorrow is kind of the dog and pony show for the kids, to take them out on the trucks and show them all the cool stuff. Tonight, we're actually taking a look at the facility, so you're all welcome to come. We put it out on social media and the newspaper, that sort of thing. try and let people know that if they'd like to, the EMS, the Emergency Management Services Committee, would like to have folks come and take a look. It's all part of a process for a potential public service improvement project there, potentially a new facility, public safety facility. So anyway, you're invited to that, and certainly that starts at 6 at the fire hall, so.
Thank you. Next up will be our Cherished Antiques revolving loan fund application and their business facade application.
So I combined those items. So the revolving loan fund committee met on Wednesday of last week to review the revolving loan fund application. They weren't able to make a recommendation. They requested some additional information on that. So working through that, and potentially we'll be able to bring a recommendation forward at the next meeting. Cherished Antiques also submitted a business facade improvement application, which is in your packets, along with the quotes. I didn't print out the photos of their mock-ups, but they were in the email that I sent you. That application is in compliance with our program, and they'd be looking for a reimbursement of $704.49 to cover half of their A-frame board, their signage on the main Plaza 57, signboard, and then lettering on their windows.
I know, I looked through it, this earlier here. I think overall it looks like a good project. I guess if we want to get real specific, the A-frame piece of it, I guess that's kind of borderline, but I think it's, ultimately, it's signage, so.
Yeah, I did have a little bit, our program's called Business Facade Improvement. This seems to be strictly signage.
Signage is listed as an eligible.
It is. We have done that in the
But
past.
signage anywhere for the building,
Yeah, so I think
for the post?
the lettering and I would say the signage affixed to the property
Yeah, I don't
is
have,
definitely in keeping. It's more the A-frame which you could pick up and carry anywhere you wanted. But I guess I don't
to another town, to another.
I don't feel so strongly about I guess that's kind of the only question I have, is if we want to be it's not a very big ticket item, so I don't know, it's more of just how stringent we want to be. So, that's the only item I'd have, I just bring up, because I don't know how to, I don't have a strong feeling about it, but I think it's worth discussion. I don't know. Do you
Well,
guys
if
have
we
an
want to
opinion
back
on
that cost out, we could take that, just make it a straight grant of $500 towards the project and say that, it is what
That's
it
what we're
is.
doing, yeah.
It's up to you guys if you want to hold the line on that. I understand it. It isn't a huge big ticket item, it's $160, but
Right.
still, it's a grant. We don't have to give them 100% of what
No.
we're
Right.
eligible for up to 50% of the cost of the
Right.
project, so I think
Yeah.
that certainly is possible too.
I just don't, I don't think we can, excuse me, I don't think we can include the sandwich board. It's not,
No.
the stuff on the pylon, fine, that's kind of permanent, the stuff on the building is permanent, that's what we're trying to do is, with.
Have the building
Yeah.
facade, yeah,
Yeah.
We want to be consistent, so maybe that makes the most sense.
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
it would
Hang on, I
to
think-
me.
Well, if you back it out, it's about $550.
550,
Yeah.
I
Well-
was rounding, I was just kind of
Yeah, yeah,
getting a number,
yeah.
I would say just back that out and do 50%, like
Yeah,
we would do,
I'll-
so,
Yeah, I'll recommend
So
that.
it'll be $530, would be 50%.
there you go.
So, okay, I'll recommend approval of it, backing out the sandwich board, because we don't feel that particular item is in compliance with the program. The rest of the signage we feel is, and we're glad they, have a nice new home.
Opened up their business,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep, I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
When the next meeting of that grant committee would be then? Are you meeting this month, or, what?
For the revolving loan.
Yeah.
You have to get the information.
We're still waiting on information.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they've been hard to get.
Well, I'm sure they're busy with new opening and all that, so. Okay.
So, let's backtrack then now, as long as we're done with that one, we'll go back to the presentation from the Hamilton Real Estate Group.
Who's gonna go?
Don't fight over us.
Well, I'm going to apologize for our tardiness. We were coming from our projects in Owatonna, and Stacy and Mark are bagel operators there that are moving from smaller space to the adjoining space. They're so proud of it, and it was just so much fun to see their enthusiasm and excitement. They're going to open on Friday.
You didn't bring any bagels, though, I mean.
He was rushed for time.
If you had.
He was rushed for time.
We just couldn't pull ourselves away in time, so we apologize, Tim, Robert, and Howard, for being late. So I'm Mac Hamilton. This is the Hamilton Real Estate Group. We're here because we're excited to talk with you about doing a project in your town. A quick background on our organization. I came to Rochester from Atlanta. I grew up in the Twin Cities, but moved to Atlanta to manage 3,500 apartments in Atlanta, Houston, New Orleans, Memphis, Nashville, and Tulsa. My wife hated living in Georgia, and we reluctantly took a job to take over the Mayo Clinic's investment real estate portfolio in 1975. Mayo then hired me in-house and then helped me start Hamilton Real Estate in 1979. We're a commercial real estate brokerage. We do leasing, management, sales, and development. In about 2009, we started developing apartments in Rochester. We developed several buildings, and Brian actually has pictures if you'd like to see them. But by 2015, when Mayo and the state of Minnesota entered into their Destination Medical Center partnership, developers from not only around the country but from around the world started coming into Rochester and building, and Rochester as a result is overbuilt today for apartments and for hotels. But what it did was to cause us to say, well, okay, if we're going to be overbuilt in town, what should we maybe be looking at doing? And about 5 years ago, Owatonna put on a program called Micropolitan, where the business leaders in the community, the economic development folks, and the school principal and other leaders, the mayor and the council, all made presentations that just overwhelm me in terms of how progressive that community is and what opportunity existed there. So with the help of the Economic Development Coordinator, Greg Krischke, we embarked on our first project, and Chad was with me on that one, a nursing home that had been abandoned, but across the street from a Hy-Vee grocery store and a couple blocks from one of Federated's larger employment areas. We did our first project called South Point. Subsequently, we've done a second phase to that. We've developed 111 Vine downtown, which is the tallest building in Owatonna, 5 stories. We're now developing Marriott Courtyard Hotel in partnership with Federated Insurance, and also a 4th apartment building called the Pearl. So we're here because we've watched the growth of Casa. We think that we probably are undersupplied in terms of market rate rental housing. We'd love to take you and show you what we just completed in June in Byron, or we can travel the other direction and you can see a number of things that we've done in Owatonna, or we could go up to Faribault where we finished a project as well. But this really is the type of market that we're looking for as developers, and Robert and Tim have made it clear to us that there is a demonstrable need here that we're hoping that we can all come together and help fill. So I don't want to be the only one who talks here, and I'm sorry.
Max, do you want to introduce your other
please. This is Ryan Nolander. Ryan, maybe you can give him a minute of your background.
Yeah, I was originally from Albert Lee, born and raised in Albert Lee. and came back to the town I was never going to come back to after college, and ran their economic development organization for approximately 15 years. Last 5 years, it was there 15 years. Came over to Rochester to do Rochester Economic Development in 2018, and did that for 2.5 years, and then met these guys, and really missed, when I came from overly to Rochester, there was a different thing that we used to do in Overly that I used to joke that we were a real estate company that did economic development, that we did land sales, we built buildings, we did stuff like these guys talk about, what we're talking about. And when I came to Rochester, we didn't do that. So I missed the real estate portion, and so last fall, actually, 1 year ago today, I think, 1 year ago tomorrow, I started with Hamilton Real Estate.
We gotta celebrate.
Yeah. So I've been there a year now, and love working with these guys, love the fact that we are out there doing projects and developments like this and working with communities, and so I get to use my background in economic development to meet with groups like yours and say, how do we partner? Because that's what it's about. These are about partnerships when we come to communities like yours, because we can't make them work without a partnership from the community. So that's my 2-minute spiel.
I'll go for 1 minute, just to keep it smooth. Chad Benkin, I am a native of Rochester, born and raised, so I've been around these communities for a long time. Actually grew up in the banking industry, so spent 16 years in banking. A variety of positions while I was there, including managed our mortgage portfolio, our real estate owned portfolio, did a lot of commercial lending, and when I went and left the banking field and to come to Hamilton Real Estate, I was doing commercial lending and management of property. So a lot of financing of the stuff, the same types of projects that we do now. So it's been a great background, and Mac was very generous in offering me a spot on the team a little over 5 years ago now. And it's been an incredible partnership that we've done, and we've done a number of projects together, most of which Mac mentioned here already. But I think Ryan summed it up very nicely in saying that we look for partnerships. We like to work in communities that have a need and want to team up and make a project happen that we'll all be proud of. So thank you very much for having us here today. Appreciate it very much.
Chad did a minute, I'll do 30 seconds. So my name is Ari Colas, I grew up in Austin. I moved to Rochester 30 years ago because I grew up in the Apollo liquor businesses, my family business, things like that. So when I got married, my wife from St. Paul said, well, I can't live in Austin, there's no Target, no Macy's. So we moved to Rochester and opened one up there. And then, so I've been in retail, liquor stores, convenience stores, my family's owned a couple strip malls, some hotels. So I had a real estate background all the way through, a little bit, without any formal training. And then 3 years ago, my wife and I decided our kids are in school, my family's going different ways, let's just sell the liquor stores. So we sold the liquor stores. Therefore, I was a little bit bored, didn't have anything to do, but we still owned some things. So luckily, believe it or not, Mac and my dad spoke before even I knew about it. They were in Florida together.
We already had you teed up.
Yeah, exactly. So I joined them about 3 years ago, and it's been great. So we still own a couple of convenience stores, but being part of the team, the development, it's been fun. We're doing the hotels, Mac said, in Owatonna. My family's owned a couple hotels, but we never developed one. So we're having a great time developing this Courtyard by Marriott in Owatonna. And that's been my main focus, but working here in Dodge Center, working with Robert, he and I have spoken on the phone a couple times, and Tim, it's exciting, and we feel very welcome here, and I'm excited to get something done. So thank you.
All right.
Any questions for them, folks of class?
Does anybody?
Yeah, go ahead, Robert. I was going to say, we had talked a little bit with you folks about the kind of product that you'd be bringing possibly to the area. I don't know if you want to share that at all with them. Maybe we can pass around some of those pictures for them.
Yeah, maybe we should send some others. This is what we just completed June 1st in Byron. It's full by the way.
I drove by that.
That's over by is that over by the grocery store there, kind of, or?
What's that?
Yeah, it's back by Fairway.
Side by the grocery store there?
Yep, right across the street.
Oh, yeah,
Just north of
Fairway. I drove past. Well, while they're looking at pictures, I do have a couple questions.
Yeah.
What kind of help are you guys exactly looking for from the EDA and the city?
I'm sorry?
What kind of help exactly are you looking for from the EDA and the city, just so we have an...
Well, help with the site, and then we'd like to explore the discussion of tax increment financing with you. But, I mean, those are the two main things I'd like to talk about.
What site?
We were shown the Vale property,
That is,
development
yeah.
concept. Tim and Robert showed it to us.
You all haven't seen this development concept yet, but it's in your packet. The last page.
Yeah.
Yep.
We drove around the community. Obviously, we're not just wild about the grain bins that are across the track over there, but we do think that it's a good site and one that we'd be interested in building on.
Do you have any input there, Robert and Tim?
Well, I mean, so you talked about sort of like a B-class property or something like that. Maybe talk about what that looks like, what the rents would look like, that kind of a thing,
Sure.
if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind at all. You know, we imagined that our costs would be a little bit higher than they were in Byron.
Cornfield?
Lumber prices have come back down some, but other material costs have gone up
Well,
to the point that overall costs
just a
are a bit
low-income
higher.
house.
But if I can relate this to Byron, or maybe more realistically to Pearl, which is one that we have ongoing right now in Owatonna, that
The
just got the
railroad?
roof put on, it's a four-story building. And we just finished putting the roof on, we plan to open up
This
in
is the railroad here.
April 1st. It should be completed in March.
Something here.
Happy to take you over and show it to you. But our rent schedules are, we have about a 750 square foot, one bedroom,
This goes in here.
plus a balcony, and I should tell you about our buildings.
No street here, oh.
Our buildings have 9-foot tall ceilings. We have stainless appliances, washers and dryers in every unit, balconies, internal garages, although we don't have enough for every unit. But what we would propose to build here is what we did build in Byron, which would be 3 stories with a courtyard in the center of an L-shaped building that would walk out to this patio area with barbecue grills, a fire table, and then some recreational areas. I guess we want to have enough land to do that. And then the backside of the building would have tuck-under garages that would enter from the garage directly into the hallway corridor for the apartment building. What we do is our building is a B building, as Tim mentioned, but it's each unit is 29 feet deep from window to corridor, a 5-foot corridor, and then 29 feet. So we're 63 feet wide, but in that 29 feet, the side with the garages, we carve 5 feet of depth out of that and have a 5x8 storage area that's available for those people who don't have garages. So it's a place to put their bikes or their Christmas decorations or suitcases or whatever that doesn't take place in their apartment. So the one bedrooms are about 768 square feet, I think.
I think you're exactly right.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Plus the balcony, and we start those just at $1,000. And as we go up in the building, the upper floor has vaulted ceilings, which really make the space feel much more generous. We give a $50 premium for that. The 2-bedroom units run up into the high 1,300s for 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. And that's a price range that we like to hold to, and that's one of the reasons that we're asking you for some help, is so that we can. Because the tenants realistically can pay up to about 30% of their income for rent. Well, if you've got a $1,300 2-bedroom, 30% of that is $4,200 a month, or $50,000. So somebody's going to have to be making $50,000 or more to comfortably be able to pay that rent. And we like to keep our eyes on that price so that we try and keep our rents in an affordable range that delivers. And frankly, one of the nicest things about opening Byron was that when we do our pre-leasing, we can't legally let anybody in the building before we have a certificate of occupancy. So, people are renting units that they've never seen. They're renting from a floor plan on the internet, or from a discussion with our leasing agent, but they've never seen the units. And the nicest feeling I had when we opened Byron was the feeling that the tenants gave us about how much nicer these units were than they expected them to be, for what they were paying. And that's very gratifying as a developer, to be able to deliver something that's appreciated for what it is by the people that it's intended to serve. So,
Mac touched on briefly, I just was going to follow up on the pricing increase. So we were just with our contractor in Owatonna, and we're looking at pricing out the next project or two, and he says we're up about 15% over where we were a year ago. So lumber's come down, but everything else has come up. So, yeah, he's in that 12 to 15% range, which obviously makes it a little challenging too. When we try to keep rents down, there's a direct correlation between the cost to do the project, so just thought I'd add that.
Well, this estimated rent for the 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom is what you're charging in Byron now?
yes,
How does that compare to Rochester?
it's a little less.
Yeah.
A little less.
Yeah, so back in 2014, I was paying $1,000 a month for a 1-bed, 1-bath in Rochester. So, it's been 7 years, and I guess
I need to
it's
raise
more.
my rent.
Yeah, but you know, interestingly enough, rents haven't just progressively gone up because it's so overbuilt. The coupon rent has gone up, but if you get a month or two free rent for signing a lease, the effective rent hasn't.
What's a coupon rent?
It's like the price.
Oh,
Maybe rent's $1,500 a month, but if they give you 2 months free, you average that out over the year, the life of your lease, it's gonna be less than that. Sticker price.
Other questions? Otherwise, I think what I would like to do, and I haven't done it yet, but I want to bring it to you all, is to see if we were interested in taking a look at one of these facilities that they've set up. Sounds like maybe Owatonna would be a good one, and I know everyone's got busy schedules and that sort of thing, but would that be possible to do it? Be to go over there and maybe just kind of tour the facility or take a look at what it would look like, and what we can do is maybe we'll coordinate with them and see what some scheduled times are that would work, and then we'll email it out to the board and let you know when those availabilities are, and if you can, take an hour or 2 hours, and we can run over and take a look at that, and then come back. Hopefully 14 will be done here, in another month or so, supposedly, promise. They're making progress.
Yeah.
They definitely have had good weather for it.
good.
We can go to Byron too.
We could go to Byron, yeah.
Brand
Right.
new.
I don't know how many availability, how much availabilities you have there. We can go and look at the actual units.
Well, we don't
or
have
something
any
like that.
vacancies in any of them.
Yeah.
But we can arrange to open units.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so yeah, whatever, works easier,
Lot
we'll
closer.
figure something out, but I guess that was what I was gonna hopefully see if we were interested in doing
Yeah.
that, maybe next steps. Any other questions for the fellows? We've got them here today.
I do have one more.
Sure.
Right now, how many garages and how many units? I know you said it wasn't 1-to-1.
7 units, and 25 internal garages, and 12 detached garages.
Because I was just looking along this property, it would almost, I ain't sure where you're looking, but if you're along the north side, you could have a detached garages as a buffer.
Yep.
Plus, then you'd have your building with your tuck under. So I didn't know if that was an option, or...
You've got a future as a land planner.
I don't believe that, but it just would give you that noise buffer / beautification, per se. So, all right.
Yeah, when we talked with Robert and Tim about this property, we really didn't get specific on which spot on there, but if it goes well, we'd also like to talk about, could there be a right of first refusal on the second piece there,
Okay.
or additional, yeah.
And I don't believe that you have a survey. So we have an architect that we work with that is pretty amazing, really, conceptually. If he has dimensions of a site, he can lay our building out in about 20 minutes. But I don't think, we didn't have the detail.
And our understanding is you don't own it yet, correct?
It closes on the 1st.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know if there's a survey that's being done as part of that or not, but any dimensions would help us to be able to lay it out, and then we could show you guys kind of, here's the conceptual.
Okay.
I do have a question. So, where is this site? This is their site, they're talking about, these 3 buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Where is that in correlation to what you've been talking to with this sand company?
So those are 3 parcels, and one of those parcels would be the one that the sand folks were looking at, that one that's on the north side. And this is all just a development concept, but that's the site that they were looking at, the one that would be directly west of the water tower property.
They did make us aware that there was a group looking at it.
And so that's the one they submitted the tax credit for.
That's right.
Okay. So then it would be a shared concept if they get this?
There'd be 2 different parcels.
Just be different parcels.
Yeah, so we would probably split this into 3 or 4 parcels, depending on the size. Like they were mentioning, you know, they have their concept, the L-shaped building, and how it would lay out. These are just mock-ups of what might potentially go on there, so don't get locked into that. But same thing with the one on the north side. But yeah, there would be a public road that would go into the site. There would be some sort of cul-de-sac or something like that, and then they would have parking arranged, and the buildings would kind of nest around that.
Because right now, there's not a road that goes all the way in front of this.
Correct, yeah.
No, that road hasn't been built, the one into the site, no.
Nothing's been built
So
yet.
then there's not any utilities or anything like that.
That's right, utilities would be extended to the site, that's right.
So it looks like there's maybe 3 different parts, right? There's a 48 unit, a 64 unit, and then or if you do the senior housing and draft option A, and then it looks like mid-density. Is that kind of just a 3-phase concept there, or is this all?
This is our concept.
This is
So
you.
you can direct your questions to me.
I was like,
That's what's
okay,
there.
Actually, what I would say, so if
tracking now.
there are any other questions for these gentlemen?
Yeah.
Otherwise, if we want to talk about this design plan, we can do that.
Okay,
Oh.
yeah, sorry, I didn't realize you guys were
Oh, that's fine.
shooting this our way. I thought you guys were coming in and coming in hot with senior housing, and like, wow.
You can say wow to Tim and Robert, though, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I'm
Like
with
I
you.
said, if there's not, otherwise, yeah, if there's other questions for them, I don't want to take too much of their time, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll set up a date, we'll try and get something figured out.
If I could just get our pictures?
Yeah, sure.
We'll do that here.
3 more?
Anybody have those design, those mock-ups for them?
I was gonna say, we don't
I think
take...
they're all there, believe me.
There's one over there.
Kathy's got a couple over there.
It's not gonna be
Thank you.
papers. No.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks for coming in, appreciate it.
And again, I'm sorry we were late.
No, this
Happens.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
made a good time, she was right there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Because now it's...
I want to talk about this today, too, though.
Hey, Robert, do you have another packet?
We kinda share
I
now.
totally missed it.
Yeah.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day. We'll be in touch with you about setting up a schedule for a tour, okay?
Let us know some dates, and
Perfect.
we can make it really easy with Byron, too, being so close.
Yeah, no, that would
Yeah,
work great.
Byron would be better.
That'd be great. We appreciate the
There's a
time.
pizza ranch now with Tom.
Thank you.
You buying, Tim?
Yeah.
Great.
I mean,
You're
it seemed like
treating-
by lunch, we go, I don't know.
I have to say, I've never been to a pizza ranch, is it?
Oh, that is, it's
Oh.
fun, because that one's
Yeah,
downtown,
ice
too.
cream.
Exactly, yeah.
Ice cream.
Oh, ice
Well, hey,
cream.
the pizza ranch,
Yes,
right?
got the
So
important
on that
stuff,
note,
ice
though,
cream.
Tom, you had some questions, and I apologize, we just thought this was an opportune time to, because they were here today, wanted to let you guys sort of be able to conceptualize kind of what they were talking about. This is a project that we're working on with our city planning group, the Hoisington group, and we've been working with Tim Solomonson. Additionally, we're working on another park plan for Lions Park too, but there's 2 designs here, and neither one of these is locked in stone, but they're just a little different, each one of them is. And, when we talked to these fellows, they seemed very interested, and so I wanted to bring it to you today just to get your feedback on what you're seeing, what you're thinking. So Tom, I don't know, go ahead if you have a question on it.
Well, I was mostly wondering if, because I thought that they brought this, so I was asking if they were planning on proposing 3 different projects all at once.
So,
that's big time.
The way we look at it, and Robert, you can definitely chime in here, is that the project on the north side is the sand project. So that was the first person that we talked to.
Yep.
That's the site they're interested in, or they have been interested in. So that would be parceled off. It would be one, almost 3-acre parcel. And then what we would look at doing is potentially creating 2 or 3 other parcels, depending on how the buildings lay out, how the stormwater mitigation would be laid out. The developer Tim Solomonson from Hoyst & Kugler, they have put on here this medium density, condos. Kathy's brought that up before, is a real need, the condo space in town here, but it isn't necessarily locked into that. It could be an apartment or something like that, or senior housing or something. But just to kind of lay something on the paper so we can sort of visualize it. Janice, do you have
Do I look confused?
Looks like you have a question. No, you look like you have a question.
I do. I'm wondering, we're still working on out by the highway, by Quick Trip, in that area? Did we?
Well, I think that's a long-term goal, absolutely.
Okay.
Last year you guys went through and we kind of have a mock-up of that.
Yeah.
Earlier this year, the council took a look at it and they looked at the cost. The infrastructure and extension costs there are so substantial just to get the road to that site. Also, we have a property on the east side, which we don't control, which,
Yeah.
that would be the sensible entrance, would be, because it's right there.
Mhm.
It would be easy to get in. So when they identified this site earlier this year, the council kind of had set this as, because the infrastructure is already in the road, it makes
Okay.
it easier just to extend that road into this area.
Said I want to overbuild like Rochester.
Well, right, and I guess that's,
I
that's
totally
always a
agree with
concern to
them.
me. The Hamilton real estate folks came to us, they said, hey, do you have anything, partly because they had just finished this project in Byron. And they're looking at moving into he presented that, they're looking at moving into Stewartville and Byron and Zumbrota and these other smaller
Montana.
towns where it's a little bit less expensive, but they still see the demand. And you guys as a board have set that as a goal to try and find some more multifamily, apartment style housing, because we know that there's a huge demand for that, for folks, whether they're in town already and they want to downsize, or for people that work from home now and they want to live in a smaller town, they don't want to pay $1,500 a month for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. The other thing that he talked about, which is interesting too, is that the complex they're looking at is just a 3-story. It's a little bit smaller complex. Whereas if some of the complexes in Rochester now, they're massive. If you go on like the behind West Circle Hy-Vee there, you drive that, and I drove the other day because we go up to that OMC clinic on the northwest side, and it's fascinating. These are 80-unit, 100-unit, just massive.
They're towns.
Massive. It's 500 people that live in that building.
It's like town.
And by itself, and there's 10 of them they just built.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the vacancy rates are. I think on the luxury side, the vacancy rates are a little higher in Rochester right now, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But like he said, they're doing a lot of those discounts where you get 2 months free or whatever just to fill them. But, they know their market better than we do, better than I ever will, because they do the market research, so.
Yeah, I also think we're waiting on that wetland delineation study for the south side.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other one that's another point to that property down there, is the wetland delineation, because we need to know where we'd actually go with the stormwater ponds. Right, yeah, that's a good point.
So, basically, we're setting up for starting points, we're looking at, there has to be a closing, right, November 1st, sounds like?
Yep.
And then we're waiting on, we got that, then we'll schedule a tour with these guys, and then we would anticipate a TIF application and an offer on the land, or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know, they may request that.
Yep.
I'm not sure that those are the incentives that we'll be willing to provide to them. Part of it, I had the conversation with Mary Blair Huft over in Byron, because it is obviously it's a neighboring community, and I spoke with her actually at the conference that I was at, and asked her, what did you do to help this project? And they did a tax abatement, which is a little easier because it's just the city portion of the taxes, as opposed to going through the rigmarole of establishing that TIF. So they used the tax abatement, and they also did, what they did was, when the lot was purchased, the folks from Hamilton repaid full price. And then when the building was built, and once it was occupied, then the city actually rebated part of that lot cost back to them as part of this negotiation. They said, well, we'll give you part of your purchase price back. And I think that is probably a similar, they're familiar with that deal in Byron. that's probably something that I would approach them in the same way as Byron did. I mean, I'd love to TIF it.
Yeah.
I know the county's not gonna be thrilled to lose the tax revenue, and the school probably isn't either.
Yeah. I just brought it up because they said TIF.
Yeah, and I don't know how that would all work
You
too.
can't lose something you don't have.
Well,
What's that?
Right. that's
Can't
true.
lose something you don't have.
Well, that's fair. That's true.
That's not how they look at it.
Yeah, right.
I think,
That's
I mean,
the
I
real
First they
deal.
get the cash.
Well, one issue with doing a TIF district, if it's a housing TIF district, it'd be the income limits. And if they're doing market rate, that narrows their window and who can afford to be in there so
That's a
much
good point.
that it.
Yeah, although,
So the abatement is, I think, a better option for them.
yeah, Robert has done some research on that. though.
Right, since we fall within the Rochester MSA, those $1,000 rents are actually at that 60% AMI already.
Yep.
So it wouldn't really change their project up all that much whether they did market rate or if they wanted to look at the subsidized housing.
Yeah, and that surprised me too, because we always think of, below 1,000, but they actually, if they do those one bedrooms that are 1,000, that gets them to their 40% that's, affordable, which still seems like we may be, so it wouldn't change the project, like that's what they did in Byron. They had that affordable component, so.
Yeah, so I think, I don't know, that's, just because it also, I would say for us, it's probably easier to do an abatement is my guess. I think the concern I would have with the TIF, because you're locking into that agreement for 10 years, so even though we might be okay right now, I just think it hamstrings them too much on some of the income tracking, whereas they really don't need it if they can do an abatement, we're gonna be the
Yeah, I mean, it
plurality
potentially
of
would
that.
lock them into it for a lot longer than 10 years. A housing
However,
TIF is actually a 25-year.
For a 25-year,
process.
yeah. I guess I don't remember how long, so housing TIF is 25?
Yeah, and EDA would be a 9.5, 10-year TIF, but
Okay.
yeah, so, I mean, those are definitely things that we as a staff are gonna take a look at and see what they actually are willing to take. I mean, obviously, if you're the EDA, we're not gonna give them more than they absolutely need. I mean, it's the same thing, I'm working for you and for the council and for the city.
Yep.
If they're willing to take less, that's what we're gonna give them, because we still want the project. It's a good project potentially, but I also don't wanna mortgage the future for something,
Yeah, so we'll put together some scenarios as we work with them, because we also have to figure out how to cover the cost of extending that infrastructure as well, so.
Yeah, because I think if we do an abatement or a TIF, I tend to be a fan of stair-stepping it out as opposed to going full bore for the full term. Part of it is they're more than likely at a certain point in this project then going to just sell it as an investment they're going to keep it for a certain length of time. So there's going to be a natural point in which maybe we want to reel back in some of the taxes that we're rebating to them. Secondly, I know when I was doing economic development, I had a number of projects where they had a full-on TIF district, and whoever was getting the benefit wasn't, I don't know, they weren't paying attention to the terms on that, and they got to within a year of it finishing, and all of a sudden, they were realizing they're in trouble, because now they had been budgeting based on getting all that money back, and then they realized, oh shoot, my benefit's going away, I need to go back to the city to get some help. And on a project like this, it's gonna be pretty substantial, whether it's an abatement or a TIF.
Yeah, I don't wanna get down the TIF weeds, because we don't know how it's gonna look yet, but I do think one thing we would look at is a pay-as-you-go TIF.
Yep.
Because that way, we're not giving them any more than they're giving us, which is probably the safest way to do it, and it would control for valuation changes from the county and all that sort of thing, so.
And honestly, if we did a TIF, the city would have to bank all of the TIF anyways to cover these infrastructure and acquisition costs, so.
Sure.
Yeah.
Lots of moving pieces there. Any other questions on the design itself? Any other thoughts? 'Cause I will be bringing this to council for their first look at their meeting, their first meeting here this month, so.
Is it to our benefit to survey sooner, or like to split up these parcels, or to kind of leave it and then
We've had that
parcel them off?
conversation, and, Robert, that's something, if you don't mind following up with them on a survey, seeing if Kirk Swenson has got any of that information.
Sure.
I like additional senior better than the other one, to be honest.
That'll be up to
Yeah.
developer.
Right, but we can always
We can always ask, that's
Yeah.
right. So, all right. So, thank you. We'll move on to the ARPA EAA grant program.
There's a memo in your packets from the CETA Grants Department on the timeline of this grant. So there's a little bit of a strategy here. So I am also writing a federal application to the Build Back Better Regional Challenge. And our Phase 1 application is due October the 19th, and we're applying for $500,000 in technical assistance to put together 3 to 8 projects that would potentially go into a Phase 2 application that would bring anywhere between $25 and $75 million in investment to the region. So I'm proposing that we hold off writing our application until December, because I'm including this mixed-use development as part of that application. And then in that case, if we receive those technical assistance dollars, you would get your $7,000 just put back in your account, and we would use the technical assistance EDA dollars. If we don't get those technical assistance dollars, it still gives us enough time to go the normal route and write the application as is. But if we do get them, then this project will end up in 2 federal applications, increasing our chances of getting that funding. So my recommendation is have our grants department hold off, not use any of the billable hours, so that you can we can waive that cost.
I agree.
Sounds good to me. We don't have to spend the money this
We
year.
don't have to spend the money, yeah,
Nobody's gonna argue.
so.
So I would also ask you to, there's a letter of support in there for the other federal application. I would ask you to
You're applying for funding.
approve that letter of support,
Okay.
just saying that we would be an active coalition member as part of that challenge. I would be representing you as part of that. It's gonna get a little messy because I'm also leading that under a different hat, so it's gonna be a little weird, but, there's no other commitment other than the participation in that coalition, which I'm doing anyways, so.
Do you need a motion, or just,
A motion to approve the letter of support.
I'd make the motion to approve that letter of support.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
So on that, does that excuse me, let me start over on that again. Does that, present a conflict of interest for you? Will you be able to 100% lobby for Casa in this with your hat as overall? Or will other communities take that as I mean, I don't know how it works exactly, but it's gonna get messy. Are we better off somebody else from CETA representing Casa while you're representing the overall group?
Well, every project that we go forward with will have a coalition representative. My role has been kind of overseer and networker. So I'm not advocating necessarily for the other projects. They'll have their own representative on the coalition, but I'll be organizing the coalition and representing Casa.
Okay, I just didn't want to put you in a bed.
Right.
You're in a spot where something comes up and you say, well, I can't really lobby for Casa because I'm doing the overall. If that's the case, then
Just have to let us know, I guess.
You have to let us know.
If there's a conflict,
Yeah.
we can definitely do something different.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not set in stone that I'm going to be the overall puppet master. That's just how it's been so far. And I kind of just got plopped into it, so we'll see.
Okay, all right, thank you.
That's a good question. Okay. We'll move to the Casa Main Street Revitalization Committee.
I touched on this in my written update already, but I think the question I would put forward is, how would the EDA like to participate as part of this, or not participate at all? In terms of pulling together this ad hoc committee, and, I'm already kind of acting as the convener and the staff person as part of it, but just also wanted to...
Are you looking for someone to maybe be a member? I mean, we've got a couple of Main Street businesses, obviously, who are, definitely right there. Yeah.
Well, a bunch of, four of you.
So, I guess I just have a question, so what's the ultimate goal of this program? I mean, as far as, I understand we want to make it better, right? And what is the ultimate goal? You're applying for a grant for $20,000.
Right.
What exactly can we do with that?
So the goals are going to be set in that initial meeting, right?
Okay.
I've heard from a number of folks, well, we want to see events on Main Street. Well, I'm just helping to organize, to get the folks organized so that can happen.
So it's not necessarily a revitalization program that we're applying to, then you have to do certain things within that program. We're making the program.
Right, we're building the
Okay,
program and
gotcha.
just like setting high-level goals.
Okay. Because wasn't there something like, we went to, but there was something, we went to Austin and visited the one time?
Oh, yeah.
That was 3-4 years ago.
You had to do certain things and all that, and it was like, it just didn't.
It didn't
So
fit.
we're making our own
Even the
goals
Austin
of this
people
program.
didn't like it.
I got you,
so.
yeah. All right.
True.
I got it.
And I would love to see this, put on paper as a long-term plan of,
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
we don't have somebody to do events now, how do we get someone to do it in, 6 months or whatever?
Mhm.
Perfect.
I agree, I mean, it's a good program if we can add, as far as the EDA, if anybody wanted to be a member, otherwise we just sit and you bring us the information and see what we can help.
So just kind of let it be a standalone thing, which is how I've been approaching it so far.
Yeah.
But I wanted to bring that question forward because I am kind of acting as a staff person. My contract's with you, but my contract is to overall support the community in general, so.
It's good for you to be involved in it, absolutely. I mean, as the coordinator, but, I mean, the businesses downtown should be the
Should
ones
be
who
the
kind of
ones
put
that are-
together and then ask for,
Bring more attention and more people downtown. The festival in the park is, at the park, there's really nothing much that goes on with Main Street. I mean, we've got a lot of buildings that are empty. I think we need to fill them. Now, one way is to show a community, festival or community events that bring more people to the downtown. There's all sorts of communities in the area that do just that. So festival in the park, I don't think EDA has anything to do with what they do, how they do it, or why they do it. So I don't know that it necessarily would have to involve the EDA, but that's...
I would say if you're gonna form this group, just as a downtown business owner and building owner, that the people on Main Street that own the properties and run the businesses get together, figure out what they wanna do together, and if we need assistance or help from, you certainly be involved, because you have resources we don't know about, but then...
Yeah, I would like him to represent the EDA
Yeah.
because, that's not necessarily our strong point, economic development. I'm
Sure.
an accountant and I'm not doing that, so.
Right, no, that's what I mean, the
Yeah.
resources that
Right, from the city.
has
that you
is
don't know
available.
about.
Yeah, in other
I might
places.
know other shit, yeah.
There you go. We'll go that route.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I would think that I would think like the Chamber of Commerce would have interest in some of that too. But yeah, I think for the EDA perspective, that totally aligns with our mission, right?
Yeah.
Like,
And Main Street goes from the apartments east of the fire hall, basically, all the way past the clinic. And then, maybe one thing that we could get your help with, because all of us, I mean, you're busy too, but we're all accountants and financial and real estate and... Mike's not busy. Is to contact everybody on Main Street. If we figure out when we're gonna have a meeting, that to help coordinate, who owns everything and where they are, just to help coordinate to get everybody together whenever we're gonna meet.
I think it's going to help me with that as well.
Okay.
Get everybody
Do you want
invited.
to include any of the, Main Street, do you want to include, lumberyard, up Old Images Building, Verizon Store, anything on the second block on the other back side of it too?
Telecom on the back.
Cam Telecom, the old Cogan building.
You can reach out to them
Company.
and
Trail Creek.
see what kind of,
Hy-Vee, I mean,
yeah.
they're off Main
So-
Street, but they're part of Main Street. 'cause
So
they're-
kind of-
Even, I don't know,
it's almost
Main
a
Street the right
downtown.
word, is it, yeah, it's
Yeah,
downtown.
Revitalization, maybe a better term.
Yeah,
for it.
because you got more business, and they're all intermingled.
That old central downtown.
And
Yeah.
some of them have,
business district.
KMTEL is a good example where they have some ability, maybe more ability to be helpful in some ways too.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm,
This is really timely too, I think, with the road construction that's gonna
Yes.
take place next year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We got everybody together now in the next month or so to say, hey, if we can organize some of it, because what a better time to organize some events on Main Street when you can't drive and get it all through done anyway, 'cause it's gonna be local traffic only, and people are gonna be used to, well, I gotta walk a couple blocks, organize things while that road is kinda closed when they're doing it. Might help kick things off, or if we have some success when that's closed, then when it opens, we can,
Keep building on it.
right.
Well, and I think we'd like to do that, dovetail it into the street project too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was something I had not brought up, but I thought about is doing like a grand reopening, when that's done, doing a party downtown, where you do have a band. And maybe that is something the EDA helps pay for, or something like that.
And you can
Bring
work
a
with the
band,
Legion
goes
there,
off a
'cause of the
block,
parking
you kinda
lot.
do a street dance, that would be kind of a cool kind of a thing. Maybe do it in the fall even, or something like that, I don't know.
I will mention the Chamber did set aside, I think, $2,700 in a CD that matures basically next year, because the idea was that we'd want programming to help Main Street during the 57 closure, so there is that going on too, so figuring...
They will have some rollover funds from commercial program budget of this year into next year, so.
Yeah, I think we're looking at doing a short-term, like a stable loan program too, possibly for the folks there, so we'll have...
Well, they increased their commercial program budget for 2022, and there's gonna be rollover funds from 2021.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, because there are a lot of residential people that live in Casson that don't know we have a downtown. I mean, really,
Well,
not a joke.
I think some do know it's there, just some try to avoid it too.
They didn't know where the pizza place was. I mean, they called and asked, and they had lived in Casson for 2.5 years. I mean, now it's a bakery, but they didn't know where Jimmy's Pizza was located, because they come from Rochester, they drop their kids off at school, and they run out there, and last year we went and looked at Christmas lights. We were like lost. Oh my God, this is where all those people live. Because, we just haven't been out there in those new additions and new parts of Casson, so.
So if you wanna just maybe rename it to the downtown, see how that works? Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll go with that, and,
I mean, is it really ours? I guess the question, is it ours to rename? I guess I thought it was a standalone thing.
Well, Kathy and I are kind of the,
we're creating it, per se, the city is, so.
What?
I thought we weren't.
The EDA is
I don't care as
supporting it,
long as
but-
you guys are relatively inclusive. That's my opinion, but whatever.
You can be a member, but I don't think we're in
I don't
charge
know.
of the group,
Yeah,
are we?
I don't think
No,
we are. I think we have representation.
right.
well, I think what you're saying is you're supporting using some of my time to
Support.
work on this.
Yes.
We support it, yeah,
We
but I don't
support
think
you
we're,
using some
I don't
of
think
your
we're
time.
creating this at all.
Nope.
Right.
So it's not ours to rename, is my
Well,
point.
I mean, I like the name change, and
Yeah.
I am in
And he's the coordinator.
Okay,
He's
yeah,
in charge.
if you guys want.
Not quite a
go
thing,
for it.
All right. So next we'll move on to our Casson welcome bags and booklet.
Sure, and I know I brought this up before, mentioned it earlier tonight, or today, and, the booklet itself is, I haven't received any PDFs or anything like that yet, Tom, so I don't know if they've been able to locate the previous version, but Tom actually was, involved with this meeting we had, very positive. It looks like the bank's willing to donate some of those bags, and so they've got a design coming for those, and that's gonna be really nice, to provide that. Chamber members and businesses that are not part of the chamber will have an opportunity to place items in those bags. Different coupon booklets or, pens, whatever, different things for their businesses. And then we're looking at distributing those through, different sources, through possibly, the community ed, possibly through, realtors in town, and then we'll have some bags available here at City Hall as well for when new residents come in and they get signed up for their utilities.
So, I know you call it a welcome bag, but is it something that you're gonna give out to some residents that have been here maybe just a few years? In Janice's point, there's people that didn't know there was a pizza place.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's a super
I don't
efficient way
think
to
so.
do that.
Yeah.
We talked about that a little bit. We had opted against doing delivery to people's homes.
Yep.
Which is, it just doesn't seem like it's the best idea. So the goal would be for us to try and hit folks that are coming in now new, and then someone who stops in who we know is a newer resident. The bags here at City Hall will certainly be available to them. I mean, if somebody wants a bag, they can have one. I'm not gonna stop anybody, but, now we'll get like people loading up, 3 or 4.
Right, but no.
But the goal is, we figured, we have between 40 and 50 new houses a year,
Mm-hmm.
and we also have a certain amount of churn with people coming and going from, different addresses. And those are in the first year, I think we're looking at 100 bags. And so I think through those two, I think in a new calendar year, we're probably adequately served.
Okay.
2017 was the last book.
Yes, 2017. So we're looking at reissuing, it'll be 2022, so about 5-year difference. And we have a good framework for that. We do have, kind of the old book, what it had in there. There's probably 25% changes in terms of new businesses, new addresses, new phone numbers. A lot of it, we have to determine, how is it gonna be funded, who's gonna get what spot, that kind of stuff. And the committee that's working with that is certainly interested in doing that. Tom, I don't know if you wanted to highlight anything else?
Well, it's
Yeah.
mainly a chamber committee right now, and in previous years, chamber members got to put in things in the bag for free, but non-chamber members had to pay for their ad in the book. They paid more than the chamber members. So, I'm not
Yeah.
sure how chamber is handling that, because it is a chamber book.
Yeah, well,
Or
the book,
project.
this particular rendition of the book is kind of going, seems like the book is going more through the city this time anyways.
Okay.
For the bag, what we're doing is we are putting out kind of a first round of invites to put actual things in the bag with chamber members, and then after we hit, I don't know, there's some date that we identified, that then round two.
15th or something like that.
I want to say it's
Maybe it was
I
earlier.
don't remember, it's written down anyways.
So you
It's
weren't
basically
giving
round
bags
two
out
goes
till
out
next year.
to the full Secretary of State listing of businesses in Casa, and then the non-chamber members get second dibs, but we'll have to identify, I don't know, we have to kind of we have to have some point to make sure that we're not just getting like 30 mugs in there, right?
Yeah.
Like, we have to.
I have to list those mugs,
Yeah,
and
we
I'm
have to,
thinking,
like, identify what all we
I think you
got,
better
so we don't
cross that
have
off.
too much, too many of the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think we
Fit in
kind of,
the
what we
bag.
talked about at the meeting was chamber members can put an item, potentially an item, and then for non-chamber members, maybe they would have like a flyer advertising their business with a coupon or something like that.
Right.
So
Okay.
we do want to hit all the businesses as much as we can, because it's not just chamber members that we want to help support, so.
is this possibly one of those things that we might be, working with Manorville, Gaston and Manorville?
Not right now, 'cause the chamber, committee, did want to see the city of Casson and the chamber logos actually on the bag, which Manorville, I don't think would be really super excited about. Now, that isn't to say that we shouldn't
Not written in stone yet.
separately reach out, like, we may have I'd have to ask, we may have already put in the order for the logo, with the logo bags for us that we're donating. But, I mean, I might just reach out to Manorville too and just say, hey, do you guys want to do the same thing?
And they do theirs.
Yeah, then
When
we
we
do
reached
ours,
out to
'cause it's-
Manorville last year, there was a lot of reticence from their chamber.
Years we do.
They didn't have a
Well,
lot of interest in
it's
working
a-
with us.
Unless they want to pay the money.
I know, that's you, well,
Well, and the
And also
easier
the
way
bag
to
would-
identify who would get the bag is if they sign up for utilities here and then just pick up the bag here.
Sure, I mean, that's the easiest way, absolutely. Yeah, we don't necessarily get 100% of people that actually come in person to do that. We try to
Yeah.
encourage them to. So that's why we also want to talk to the realtors if they know, and we may even have some of the realtors have a certain number of bags at their office or something like that, just to make it easier if they knew someone's news coming. But yeah, I mean, those are some kinks we've got to work out still, but
Okay.
there's a lot of work ahead of us getting that booklet updated, and you're right, Janice, it is a chamber-driven project, so their
yeah,
committee
it's
is
a
mostly
chamber,
doing that.
yeah.
But we're here to, the point for the EDA is that we're here to support.
Yeah.
And, you know, we want to help them, and we want to be successful. And a lot of the stuff in the book actually is, a number of the articles are parks, you know, and different things the city does as well, so we want to make sure those are kept up.
Okay.
One
Thank
thing
you.
I'll mention is that you have to watch for people moving. I remember we had that problem many years ago. They move every year and they get another welcome bag.
Well, I guess if they want to buy, I don't know.
No, they just
buy a new house.
changed utility addresses.
Yeah.
Sure, if they're just
Yeah.
moving if they just move the mailbox from one,
No, they actually moved,
Buy another house.
you know.
I mean, I
Yeah.
guess if they keep,
They lived in
They keep
Cass.
investing in our community
Yeah.
at the small
Yeah.
price to pay of.
yeah, I mean, if
All right.
they're going to
So-
that trouble to get a.
Yeah, we're good on that then.
Eggs, I guess.
We got any other business?
Depends on how many coupons there are in there.
Not? Is there any items for the November EDA meeting?
So we'll carry forward, I guess we'll plan on carrying forward that loan fund application, and then we'll have some other updates.
Potentially tour.
And I won't be here in November, but I know that Robert will do just fine, so.
If you think of anything, you can send Robert a note if we wanted to add it to November. On that, I take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
I do want to collect these back from you here today, so,
Bye.
thank you very much.